Okay. Hope everyone enjoyed your first week back here of Greek after the break. And I thought that was a pretty gentle quiz to be able to introduce you back to thinking Greek, and reproducing things that hopefully you can do in your sleep by now. But anyway, well, we're gonna move forward from there and see what we have. Let's keep. I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on in the world today. Um, did Venezuela happen the last time we met, or was it since
Yeah.
then?
No, yeah, I think
It
it
had
just
happened just
happened.
it just happened, and of course, Iran is been going on for a while, but it's growing. Hundreds of people have been killed and executed in Iran for protesters. That's how they eliminate them. So we really need to pray for Iran. It's not necessarily praying for. I mean, we need to pray for their salvation, but even their freedom, so that they can live in such a way as to choose how they want to live, and Lord willing, have the gospel go out. We have a pastor here, part of the church, Sorab and his wife, who are Iranian background, former Muslims. He's a former Muslim. I don't know if she is. Um, they're Iranian, and we need to, they're very concerned about Iran, have ministries to that location. So we need to keep Iran and the people of Iran in our prayers. There's a lot going on there. So, um, and part of it is, we want to understand God's word in the original language so that we can teach people, like people in Iran or here or anywhere else, accurately dividing the word of truth. And we're laying a foundation in elementary Greek to be able to move on to intermediate Greek, hope Lord willing, where we get some of the tools of exegeting scripture. And some of those tools are learning how to do several different types of word studies. There's an abbreviated word study, which is far more than what most people do for a word study. And then there's a what I call a complete word study, which is more than that. But those are just some of the things that we learn. We learn some of the details that we hint at here in this class. So that's what we do in intermediate Greek, as you prepare a paper. So let's open in prayer and we're going to get started. Father, we do thank you for your son. We thank you for your desire to reach the whole human race, everyone. And you care. You care about them. You love them. You love people everywhere in the world. That includes people in Iran. We do pray for the wisdom of the protesters as to how to go about. If it's your will, Lord, you raise up and take down kingdoms. If it's your will to overthrow the government, exchange it out for a different government system that hopefully is less brutal and more open, so the gospel can go in there. We ask God for your grace tonight. We thank you for everyone and the work they're doing in the class and the preparations that you have for them in their life going forward from here. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen. And Jessica, welcome. She has joined us, and I think saw someone else. Yes, Ruben. All right. Ruben. Okay. We have. All right. Well, okay. Well, all right. Thank you. Oh, I haven't had those in a long time.
They're like little.
I just brushed my teeth. I'm going to wait a little while.
Yeah.
I'll wait till like just towards the end.
Oh, wow.
Because that and AIM toothpaste, maybe. So, yeah, orange juice and toothpaste, that's one of the worst flavors ever. But this ranks up there. Okay, well, let's do our thing. Let's review a little bit. Okay. Go back over. Are there any questions regarding last week talking about third declension nouns? I'm thinking it's probably pretty straightforward. A noun is a noun is a noun. First, second, or third declension. Third declension, the big deal about third declension nouns is what?
Well, they
Right.
appear to be in anyway.
Right. They all have one gender, and third declension noun incorporates both masculine, feminine, and neuter nouns. Absolutely. And why are they in that group, that declension, that group? What distinguishes them from first and second declensions groups of nouns?
Stem changes.
The stem or the ending changes, right? The stems change a little, like sarks and sarcos can do that. That's true. But the endings are not consistent. They're not the same like we would expect with like anthropos, os, u, o, on. If it's masculine, you get the third declension, os can be feminine, right? So it's just the the numerous paradigms that fall in there are not consistent like first and second declension nouns. They have their own individual consistency, okay? But it's based on other things. So it's this odd group of nouns, and how do you learn them? You look it up. That's it. That's how you do it. Okay. And you'll learn more about those. You'll learn those as you move on, as you use and read the New Testament, and I hope you are. Read it, continue to read it, and as you study it, the really cool one of the cool things about studying the New Testament and going working through a passage in Greek is that, I mean, it goes almost without saying, but it's really cool, is it doesn't, that passage won't change. So once you get it, once you parse things and you parse them well, when you go, you can review it, make sure you're accurate in your understanding, but it's not going to change on you. It's not like a Greek quiz where, hey, I'm going to throw this at you. Hey, I'm going to throw that at you. No, that passage is that passage is that passage. And so you work through it, and then you can work through another one and go back and go, oh, you don't have to rework through it so much as make sure it's consistent. Your learning and your understanding is consistent. And that's what's really cool about that. So make progress on that. Keep reading the New Testament, keep going through it and taking notes and what things that you learn. We're going to be looking at a few passages here today regarding perfect and pluperfect and perfect and pluperfect verbs. So, but anyway, what else about any questions about third declension nouns and um, what they have, what they bring to the table? Remember, in your vocabulary list, the tip off that you're looking at a third declension noun is what? In your vocabulary list, if you have a list, if you get a new term, what's that? You look for it gives two forms of the noun. The nominative form followed by the genitive form and the article, because the other ones, first and second declension nouns, all have the article with them to remind you what gender it is. But a third declension noun, you'll see on page 153, like for foot, pus, pudas. Now pudas looks like it's masculine nominative singular, but it's not. That's the genitive masculine for foot. And it's a genitive because we're telling you it's genitive by looking at this. The second form you see is the genitive form. So look at dunamis. Dunamis is the feminine nominative singular for power, and dunameos is the genitive feminine genitive singular for power. And I mean, dunamis, I mean, dunameos, you wouldn't think that. I wouldn't think that. Looking at it, I'm like, where'd that come from? And it almost looks like it's almost looks second person. No, not second. Almost looks genitive plural, right? Own, os, almost looks like that, but it's not. So that's how you know you're dealing with a third declension noun. The forms are their own forms. There's a few of them that would be like that. And that's what a third declension noun, the hint is. So don't think in the endings in terms of first or second declension endings that you had before. That's thrown out the window. They go by a different set of endings. That's your hint. Okay. All right. Good. Oh, yeah. Oh, you guys did a really good job on the diagramming. That was great. Um, Made a few notes on that. Was there any questions on the diagramming? The one, one of them. Oh, the first word was a. Oh, it had a Genetos, from Genao or became. That's what it was, and it had that's a. It's like an equative verb.
Well, that's, yeah, I was.
Ginomai. No, it's ginomai. Was it came from ginomai? And that's an equative verb. So that nominative was a predicate nominative. Let me pull this up. Where was
I
that?
thought it was an adverbial.
Right. It wasn't well, it was an adjective.
Not the verb, but
Oh, the verb.
not the sarx.
Sarx is a noun, flesh. Right. He had this last week. Let me look this up here.
Talking Agoneto.
From Ganao? Yeah. Hold on. Why is it not here? More. Hold on. Should have had defense new. Go. This is odd. This is going way back and it's not doing. Okay, I need to look it up a different way. Um. Okay. Greek. Second. Down here. Okay. Yeah, Eganata. That's right. From Ganao. Wasn't that from Ganao? Yeah. Um, I will show you guys. Yeah, sarx was nominative as a nominative noun, and that. Let me show you here. So you guys see that. I'm going to show you guys. Here we are. Can you see that? So notice that we have the logos, ha logos, aganata was third person singular, aorist. It's a deponent. So from ginomai, but it's ginomai, isn't it? Yeah, that's what it is. And then sarx, and the flesh became. Oh, I'm sorry. The word became flesh, and the word dwelt among us. So the word became flesh. This is like a um, equative verb, but to be linked, it's like a linking verb. It's giving a direct equality. So sarx, the quality of sarx is being given to logos, and that's why it's actually why sarx is in the nominative case. It's nominative because it's a predicate nominative here. That's the nominative case is the tip off. Otherwise, it would be accusative case. So it's not like the logos, hit the flesh. That would be accusative direct object. No, it became flesh. So they're giving the attribute of flesh to the logos, so it's equative. All right. And that's why this line is slanted right here. You have this slanted line, and this sarx is nominative case. Okay. And I did this. Oh, it's equative type verb. Sarx is a predicate nominative. I knew this mistake would happen often, so I just put that there, and I can copy and paste it in. So I do that sometimes with these things. And then um, became flesh and dwelt with us or in our midst, yeah, among us. And that of course is a is a prepositional phrase, and prepositional phrases modify the verbs. Now, if the prepositional phrase, and I just looked at this last week in the intermediate Greek intermediate Greek class, if the prepositional phrase was being used as a substantive, like as a subject or a direct object, it would have the article before it. The article, then the prepositional phrase, and that article nominalizes it, or substantizes it. Okay, so one person put it as, I think, the direct object of eskenesin, and it's like that's just not the case. It's going to be have an article before it, so it would literally be article and Haman. Okay, but it'd be ha and Haman, but then that would be nominative case and wouldn't be it couldn't be the direct object. So anyway, but that only happens like 4 times in the New Testament. I'm not giving those to you, so you don't have to worry about them. I'm not trying to trick you. I want to see the prepositional phrases go into the verbs. That's it. So does that make sense for that diagramming and how it all works together? And now you see that sarx is an attribute being given to halagos, and we can see that in the diagram. The diagram brings it out very clearly. All right. Perfect and pluperfect. Indicative verbs. These are in the indicative. I read someplace where the perfect is only in the indicative. I believe it's pluperfect as well, and I don't recall reading it, but I believe pluperfect is only in indicative as well. I don't know that they said it in this chapter. Another book I was reading did state for the perfect tense, it's only indicative mood, and it's active in middle voice. But I believe that's, yeah. So the perfect and pluperfect indicative verbs. Last 2 tenses. We've already had present tense, aorist. We've had future and imperfect. What does the imperfect tense indicate?
Past tense ongoing.
A past tense ongoing what?
Action.
Action. Okay. That's going to be a big distinction between the perfect tense. What is the perfect tense?
Completed action.
It's completed action with ongoing results. Don't confuse results and action. So for instance, my wife and I have been married for 13 years. See, we got married and the results continue. We're not getting remarried every day. We didn't get remarried and remarried. That's not how it works. So the perfect tense brings out past completed action with ongoing results, generally speaking. Okay. I say that because you see some distinctions in here.
Usually where we would translate something like that, have, like it was in this case, have been. That typically what happens, or
It depends on what's being emphasized, but yes, that can be it. We're going to look at one like when it's talking about scripture, when it is written, it sounds present tense in English. It is written, but it's actually a perfect tense, I believe it is. I believe that's perfect tense verb, where it has been written and it maintains being written. The results continue. But in English, we can't always carry the nuance. We could if we expand the sentence to bring that out. And translators typically do not do that. One reason is to shorten things up. But we as English readers of the New Testament, now we have access to the Greek. We can see hints of the perfect tense in this have been, or it is written. So it is written. So that written part it means it's done, but it is the ongoing. So they're kind of stressing the ongoing nature of the completed action, the ongoing results of the completed action. It's kind of buried in that, but we usually don't pick up on that distinctly in English because we're so time oriented. Remember, Greek is not time oriented, even in the indicative mood, although time's an element. What is Greek by far more focused on?
Author's perspective.
Author's perspective of the kind of action. Okay. They're not focused on the time of the action. The indicative mood brings out time of action a little bit, but the dominant view for the Greeks is kind of action. And perfect tense brings out completed action with ongoing results in general. Okay. So you'll notice here on page 156, 57. Now I have we will consider here in this chapter, there are three nuances of the perfect tense in the indicative mood, beginning with the most common meaning. One of them is, by the way, before that, I really liked the example they gave before in the paragraph that goes from 155 to 156 about using the language of sexual unfaithfulness. The angelic messenger tells the apostle John that nations have drunk the maddening wine of our adulteries. And they note that this is the have drunk is a rendering of the perfect tense of pino. Okay. And he goes on to basically apply that to us, to our day and age. There's a implication for us to understand the nations in this day and age. I thought it was really good. He says, in other words, a demonically inspired rebellion against God has been ingested in the nations and is now found enmeshed in their political and economic system. So the action with ongoing results. They are in a state of demonically empowered inebriation, wicked rebellion against the Creator. When you watch and read the news, do you ever struggle to understand the animosity and illogicality of governmental persecution of Christians, or just the illogicality of people's worldviews? My wife and I were talking about this just last week. Whether in America or elsewhere around the world, Revelation pulls the veil. Revelation administers a spiritual breathalyzer test on the nations and finds them demonically drunk on rebellion. And there's a variety of reasons for it, but they have drunk this poison, and the results continue of this past nature. It's a continued nature, but past action of acceptance of something. So when people accept Christ, there should be a continuing result in our lives. I don't think of sinful perfection, of sinless perfection, but there's going to be a result of conforming more like Christ. That's the sanctification process, okay? But for other people, in some ways, we really shouldn't be shocked, because what did they drink? What did they ingest? We're simply looking at the results of it, and we get frustrated with the results, rightly so, but the results are not the problem. The problem is what they ingested, morally and spiritually. That's the problem. So we were just talking about this a little bit today. Some Christians are focusing on this is Americanized Christianity, which I think the American dream is contrary to the biblical dream. American Christianity will focus on trying to save, kind of like trying to save the Titanic. All right, we want to save the ship, right? And if you're doing anything other than trying to save the ship, all you're doing is rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Yes, we are. We literally are rearranging the decks on the Titanic, or the deck chairs on the Titanic. That's what we're doing, because the ship we're on is sinking. Sorry, I've read Revelation. All right, this worldly system, right? It's sinking. What we're trying to do is warn people, right? Hey, let's make some changes. in this sink that the ship is sinking. We're gonna make some change. We want you to come along with the ride of salvation that God has provided. So, but people who are, bless their heart, Christians try and do it. But if Christians get too focused on saving the ship, I'm not saying we shouldn't have contribute. We should. We have certain civic duties. But if our focus, if our expectation is somehow we are in the end going to save this ship, we forgot the book of Revelation. We forgot Matthew 24. So we have to we don't want to be fatalistic, but we want to be realistic. Work on getting people saved. Work on doing what we can to patch the ship so the sinking slows down, but trust Christ the Messiah to finally rescue us, because he is the one that will do that. It's not an easy balance, but the American dream is not the biblical dream. So
It's a good analogy because you got the lifeboats coming down, like get in the lifeboat, stop
Right,
trying
right.
to like, this is happening, you're going down.
you do.
And then the guys who are sailors
Play-
who are letting them in, kind of like
Right.
angels read.
And then there's guys who stayed on the ship to play the violins, the cellos and violin, just to calm people down. And they did it, made that choice. And it's like, you know what? Man, I respect that. What a man move. Or if there was women with him, a woman move. But it was what an incredible thing. Just calm them down. Hopefully, because panic kills in those situations. So I just so respect that. So past action with resulting state. So the results continuing, not the action continuing. Okay. Within the New Testament, the perfect tense usually, not always, that's the key term there. Think usually. And I bring that up because some well-meaning pastors who had first-year Greek or forgot their intermediate Greek or had a poor intermediate Greek will say it's perfect tense. Therefore, this is past action with resulting state. That is not necessarily follow. They may have accidentally, like a blind squirrel, stumbled upon a nut correctly, but check it to see if that's actually the case, because that may not be the focus. It's usually the focus communicates a past completed action with a resulting state of affairs in the present, from the perspective of the author, of course, not the reader. The action itself is done and is no longer being performed. That's important. It's done. Although the consequences of the action have continuing results. Now, depending upon how people view marriage, I mean, the consequences of saying I do, or the resulting state. It depends on how you word it. So, but there are. I mean, if it's a bad marriage, there's consequences that ongo. So choose wisely. Anyway, thus the verb's aspect is stative because it describes a resulting state or condition of a past action. So in a recent technical study, a Greek grammarian calculated that 54% of the perfectly conveyed as stative, but that's 54%. Okay. That means 46% don't. So it's nearly half don't. Past action with ongoing relevance. The perfect tense can also be used to describe a past action that has ongoing relevance. Oh, you know what? Let me go up there. Here's where it is written. The first one, past action, resulting state. That's the emphasis of like when something is written. When the latter is in view, is usually better when the latter. For such stated meanings, the focus of the perfect tense verb is on the past action. Other times, the focus is on the resulting state. When the latter resulting state is in view, is best to translate with the perfect tense English present tense. It is written, and not it has been written. So that's why translations are it is written, and it sounds present tense, but written is finalized, and that kind of hints back to the finality of, but the ongoing state. So that's what's going on there with the writing part, and most of it is written in the New Testament are perfect tenses, the verbs.
You know how we say he is risen on Easter?
Yes.
Is that in the Bible or say that? Or is that a
Oh,
Greek phrase?
Does it say that there? He is risen. He's risen indeed. Does it say he is risen in like the? Oh yeah, in after post resurrection, Oh, the angels. He is risen.
Oh, I wonder if it's.
I have to look that one up. I don't recall if that one's perfect tense right now or not. If someone has logos, here I can try and open it. I hope it doesn't clog up my system here. I'll look that up. The perfect tense can also be used to describe past action that has ongoing relevance for the writer's discussion. In other words, depending on the literary context, the author may choose the perfect tense not because he is emphasizing an ongoing state that results from that, but because the completed action has the ongoing relevance for his discourse. Okay, 35%. 1 John 1, 1-3. So here, this 1 John, we have seen, we have heard. Those are perfect tenses. 1 John 1, 1-3 is very oriented towards uh, the gospel, or the the writer and apostles having seen in the flesh the empirical experience of Christ, right? And here they're emphasizing the ongoing relevance of it. So we have seen, they don't continue to see, but we have seen, and that experience remains true, is what they're bringing about. Let me see here. Is that what it is? He is risen.
Well, it says, he says in Luke, it says, well, at least in the ESV, I guess.
Right.
But he is not here, comma, but has risen.
Oh, but has risen. That's it. And here we go. What's that?
Matthew and Mark.
They're both aorist. So it's just, as aorist tense, it's stating a fact. So the fact of the matter. Okay, thank you for looking that up. And of course, we have ongoing relevance of what happened, and then past action from a holistic perspective. It sounds almost like an aorist tense, okay? But it's not. It's rare. It's 11 uses. Past action holistic with seemingly no comment on the resulting state or ongoing. It says that's what it says, is essentially synonymous with the aorist tense. And we figure this stuff out, they figure this stuff out by looking at the context and what it's going to emphasize. Any questions on distinguishing the perfect tense from the imperfect? Imperfect tense is past action and it's result oriented. Okay, mostly result oriented. So, or relevance oriented. Recognize him. This is where the perfect and the pluperfect kind of come in with, but the perfect tense has reduplication. Okay, so like le Luca, all right. That epsilon is an augment. It functions like an augment, suggesting or past time, but it's the epsilon and the reduplication of the first letter of the stem. So you have le, lu, and then a ka instead of, like, the aorist has sa, elu sa. Instead of that, it's ka. It's kappa. So it's very similar to aorist tense of present, aorist active indicative, but it has reduplication and you have the kappa. Le luka, le lukas, le luke, le lukamen, le lukata, and lukasen or le lukan. The option being up to the author. You have to remember that in the first century and before the printing press, there was no standardized way of spelling every term. There were generally accepted ways, plural, of spelling numerous terms. Multiple ways of spelling were considered equivalent, which also explains some of the derivations when scribes who understood Greek would translate it, would not translate, but would write it down, and if it was being read, they could, oh, they're saying that, well, schedule versus schedule, might you might you might write it a little differently. If you're oriented, if one type of English would write one, Canadian type English or British type English would write something one way versus another way, but it means the same thing. Well, that brings in a variant. Now you have a variant reading. We call them variants, right? And people say, well, that's wrong. It's a mistake. Well, it's a variant, but it doesn't make it always a mistake. So it's one reason why the term variant is used between texts when they vary in how things are spelled. And a lot of the textual variants, not all of them by any stretch of imagination, but many of them are spelling differences. And some of them are spelled wrong, but some of them aren't spelled wrong. They're just spelled differently. And different isn't wrong. Before the printing press, different spelling is not wrong. So you don't need to memorize the paradigm, but we do need to be able to recognize and understand perfect tense has reduplication plus the kappa. So these are good quiz or exam questions. How do you recognize the perfect tense? Well, reduplication, kappa, right? On that. So let's see. Now on page 159, they compare the first aorist active and the perfect active. And you'll notice they're, with the exception of third person plural, they're basically identical, except for the sigma and the kappa and the reduplication. Reduplication replaces sigma of the kappa, and you have perfect tense, the perfect tense, active, indicative. And these are used a few times in the New Testament when used to convey a little bit different point than what the other tenses will do. And as Runge has said, choice implies meaning, and I would go so far as intent of the author. Like, I changed it for a reason. Go ahead and pay attention. So let's see here. Perfect middle passive. Reduplications found in the active voice also occurs, but there's no tense formative. Okay, the kappa, or there's no kappa. So lelu my, not lelu amai, lelu my, lelu sai, lelu tai, lelu metha, lelu sta, lelunka on leluntai. So notice it's not ontai, like it could be for other middle voice. Omai, atai, ametha, esta, ontai. No, it's my, psi, tai, metha, sta, and tai. Okay, those are a little differences, but it has a reduplication. That's not to say that every perfect tense verb has reduplication. They don't all have reduplication. Those that have diphthongs don't have reduplication. That's just to keep us honest, I guess. That's just to say, hey, you know what? We don't want to play that game. We're independent. It's like, no, you can't make us duplicate. There's some irregular forms, and then we have the perfect tense. Sorry, pluperfect tense. Now, before we move on, any questions about the perfect tense and how it relates to, or how it is related to or not not the same, but similar as the imperfect or the aorist or the present tense. Any questions on the distinction between those? We good? All right. So the perfect tense is completed action with results or a state that on goes. Imperfect tense has an action that could be continuing up to the present. So pluperfect. That's a weird word. So yeah, I think it's declared a weird word. I don't. But I think it's probably normal, like for people who study English. Is there an English major in here? Is pluperfect a perfectly normal term in language studies? I don't know. I don't remember seeing it anywhere except for Greek. So, but I'm not an English major or what's that?
Is there plus perfect?
Is it plus perfect?
I can't remember. It's there's something like Pluperfect, but I
Okay.
could be totally way off.
I don't know.
Perfect exists, it's just the same as past perfect. So we don't really call it perfect,
But we call it past perfect.
we just call
Wow.
Okay. All right. I think someone's just making things up here. I don't know. Not you, but here in the Greek studies. Like, let's just call it pluperfect. What does that even mean? Shut up. Okay. All right. Primary conveying a meaning that is comparable to the first function of the perfect described above, which the first function described above, again, was past action with resulting state. So now, yeah, the perfect and the pluperfect tense describe a past state that was brought about by an action even further in the past. Or I should say, unlike the perfect. So it's basically past completed action with a past result, not necessarily the one that's continuing on. Okay, could be, but probably not. Usually emphasizes on page 163, emphasizes the results brought about by a past action. They committed them to the Lord in whom they had believed. Okay. And then consummate pluperfect, a completion of past action brought about with a resulting state in the past. His disciples had gone into town. So they're not still in town, but this is what they did, and they remained there for some time. They had gone into town. So maybe they're there, maybe they're not. Because the perfect and pluperfect tense are not as common, they're often significant for interpretation. Now, the formative, you have an augment, some but all forms, reduplication, transformative, and connecting vowel. Here's a full paradigm. Doesn't need to be memorized. Allelucane. So add an epsilon. Now that yeah, which is the augment there at the beginning. I know.
it.
So
There's gonna be a pluperfect, or you add a reduplication again.
pluperfect. Yeah, that's right. It's with worst case scenario. I think there's like, what did they say, 86 of them, or maybe less for this one. It was 86 for the perfect.
86 uses the pluperfect.
Yeah, yeah, oh, yeah. There were 86. Yeah, only 86 times. So hey, there we are, 86
It
times.
uses 22 different verbs, so
That's right. So that's why we have the lexicon to be able to look them up and go, all right, I'm just gonna look this one up.
yeah.
It's kind of interesting because different authors use different terms, and I can remember my Greek professor and his PhD, his master's from Dallas Seminary, his master's and his PhD, they were all in Greek. I mean, that's what he wanted to do. It's great. He was good at it. He studied New Testament Greek, and became a Greek scholar, and they really study a lot of the Greek. And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm working on Jude, and it's the hardest book I've ever done." I go, "What makes it so hard?" He goes, It's called Hapax Legomenos." He goes, "Almost every word is only used one time in the New Testament in this book. So you have to stop and look up every single one of them. I have no idea what any of them are. I think, it's like every third word. Oh, there's the article. Thank you, right? And after that, he's just really struggling with it. And this is a guy that had done all of his work in Greek. So cut yourself a break, all right? Cut yourself a break and use the resources, but don't rely on them for your conclusions. Okay. With intermediate Greek, what happens is we learn how to use key resources. And then that ruins a lot of your favorite commentaries. So anyway, and I like that. So, but and we learn to pit those exegetical commentaries against one another to see what the rationale is. Fortunately, the rationale is you're not going to become you'll not end up worshiping a Mormon god on some sort of Hindu mountain. Okay, that's not going to happen from the differences. They aren't that stark, but there's nuanced differences, and you follow it and see if you think that the author has been faithful to the Greek text and the nuances. See what the different ones bring up, and then plant your flag. And then if through further studies you find out like, oh, you know what, this other guy he didn't make a strong case for it, but he was actually in a better position on it. You can go back and make that tweet, but now you know why. And that's really one of the biggest things. You want to know why. You want to follow how you drew those conclusions and why, and then you're going to be in a better position. And go ahead and teach on that. One of my friends from the pulpit, he'll say, you know what, there's controversy on this passage, on this Greek term, this verb, and how it gets translated. And the controversy revolves around X, Y, and Z. Some people do one, some people do two. And on one, I can see where they're coming from. I'm not as convinced as two, and here's why, or two. So you work them through some of the differences so they have a basis to work from and not just trust you. That's not who they're supposed to be trusting. You're supposed to be trustworthy. They don't trust you for your theology. You give good, sound reasons for it. And that I think is good teaching from the pulpit and good teaching in Bible studies. We want to avoid this one guy who was teaching Sunday school. I still remember to this day in undergraduate, and it was just horrible. And I went to watch him because he annoyed me so much, and I wanted to see if he did it all the time. He did it, and so I finally just stopped going because I got too upset. And I knew it wasn't my place to say anything, but he wanted to show off that he knew elementary Greek, and he butchered what was said, butchered what these things meant. Didn't have any good distinctions of these of aorist tense or whatever, but he would like, this is aorist tense, folks. Yeah, that's right. As if he knows something special and we don't. No one else possibly could. And that's not how we go about doing Bible study. So I remember him to this day. So yeah. Nails on a chalkboard. I want us to look at a couple of these passages. Okay. That have perfect tenses and pluperfect tenses. Okay. So get out your Greek Bibles.
I got it.
There we go. And feel free to get out your English. Hint, I have both. So, I mean, truth be told, Jesus did not break out his English Bible very often. So, in John 1:34, John chapter 1, verse 34. So you look at the cross the top and Matheteus, Matthew, you can kind of see what Luke looks like, and Matthew, Mark, sorry, Luke, and then John, a longer.
Is that 134?
John chapter 1, verse 34. Okay. Now, what we have here, it starts off with cargo. What is cargo? And I. It's a combination of two words. All right. So he could say kai, ego. So it's kai, ego, cargo. All right. Cargo shorts. And I have cargo shirts. No, I don't. But actually, I think I do. But anyway, so that it means and I. And then we have Hiroka, Kai, Memar to Reka, Hadi. We have a Hadi phrase. Hutas, Estin, Ha Hui As, Tu Thau. All right. And I, okay. Now notice what they did here. Oh, in NASB, I myself, they translated ego heruka, which is have seen. That have seen is the perfect tense. I myself. Why would they translate this I myself?
They got cargo, which is ego, basically.
Right?
And then it also has the first person singular.
Yes.
So it has both.
It has both. Basically, he's emphasizing that I myself have seen that this is firsthand account. He's emphasizing I did this. He could have skipped, he should have just said Kai and gotten, and I have seen and testified, right? But he didn't do that. He's like, no, I, okay, and I. So there's an emphasis there of I have seen this. And this is John, was it John the Baptist here talking here? And so I, Erica, have seen and testified. So the have works for in English. I have seen and testified means I have seen and have. The NSB has both. I have seen and have testified that. So haughty. See the haughty clause there? What does the haughty clause indicate here? Based on the verb before. What's that? It's a clause. What kind of clause is it? It's subordinate. That's right. It's a subordinate clause. What kind of discourse is this? Now, we haven't talked a lot about this. We have talked about this.
I forget our classmate's name on there. The girl, she always knows it.
Oh,
She's like a grammarian.
well, we have two, Jessica or
I
Kimberly.
think it's Kimberly.
Yeah, okay.
I'll put her on the spot. but
Yeah.
She knew it last
No,
time.
yeah. Oh, okay, you're being called out, Kimberly. Oh, here you go. All right, Kimberly. We're relying on you. All right. So
I'll give
no
it a
pressure.
try, but I don't know for sure what you're driving for. I'm
Okay.
wondering if maybe you mean like that it's kind of like a speech thought clause, but it's not a direct quote.
Yes, exactly right.
Okay.
It's an indirect discourse. That's right. So it has to do with discourse. So he's not saying that he testified. Here's my testimony quote. He's saying, I have seen and testified that this is a paraphrase, a synopsis, but it's indirect discourse is what we call it. There's direct discourse. That's a quote. Jesus, the red letter edition of your Bible, those words in red, those are quotes. That's direct discourse.
Is that one this one's OT, the other one is
This one's henna. Wait, this one's haughty, and the other one's henna. Henna can do the same thing. It depends if it's it depends on what. Who remembers? Oh, okay, it has to do with the verb use. And specifically, if the verb is or. Both verbs are in what mood?
indicative.
Indicative mood uses haughty,
Oh yeah.
and subjunctive mood uses
Henna.
henna. So it's going to go with the mood of the verb. So excellent. So when you see the haughty clause, and it's going to be indirect. Well, it's going to be a subordinate. And because of the kind of verbs that these are, I myself have seen and testify. Testify is a thought. All right. Prayer. I pray. I think. I say. I testify. Which is like I say. Speech. Whatever it is. What's usually going to follow? I say that. I pray that is indirect discourse. So he's giving the content of what he testified. This is what I said, guys. Now it could be a summation, and I think this is a summation, but he probably has also said, could also at times be a direct quote. This is the Son of God. Now he could, but that was my testimony, so he's summarizing it. Very good. That's excellent. So Kago, Eraka, Heroraka, Kai, Memarte Tereka, Hadi, Hutas, Estin, Ha, Huias, Tu, Heu. So, what do we have with Hutas? What is Hutas? Demonstrative pronoun, which we translate this. Why is it really important to remember this? Well, okay, what case is Hutas? Nominative. Is there anything else in this verse or at the Hadi's a demarcation? Everything after it is of the same clause. Is there anything else in the subordinate clause that is nominative case? What's that?
The Son.
Ha huios. That's right. Is nominative case. So now, all right, what are you going to do? You have three things that are in the nominative case. What accounts for that? How could they all three be in a nominative case?
The first one.
3 and 1.
Yeah,
It's the Trinity.
Oh, we have the yes.
Prove
This
the
is
Trinity.
this is how we got Trinitarian theology. Thank you, Brad. Scratch him from intermediate Greek. I just sent an email. No, just no, that's funny.
I'm not gonna help it. It's-
No, that was awesome. It's just see Greek and humor and theology and humor, they all go together.
Yeah.
So
Okay, no, you. I talked.
I see. I was gonna say like the cargo being nominative technically because of ego.
okay, remember, as I said, the Hadi distinguishes what's coming from what's previous.
Right, and so that would be the first part, and then you have the Hadi
Yes.
clause.
The Hadi clause, which is the subordinate part. So you have the main clause, the independent clause from cargo all the way up through both verbs. And you have the Hadi clause. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and then underneath the Hadi clause, you have hautos, which then is demonstrative pronoun, and then we have estin, which would then make it a predicate.
Okay, there's
Son.
right. Okay,
This is the Son, and then of course.
right. We have Estin. So Estin needs, if it's going to have two things with it, it's going to need a nominative case subject and a nominative case predicate nominative following it. So now, which one is the subject and why? Someone else. Online, you want to talk about that? We're looking at verse 34. We're looking at hutas, estin, ha huios, to theou. The question is, hutas is nominative, ha huios is nominative. With estin, we're going to have a nominative case subject, but we're going to have a nominative case predicate nominative, that which follows estin. Which one is the subject and which one therefore is a predicate nominative and why? How do we determine which one the subject is?
Is it huios because it's articular?
Huios is articular. And articular nominative nouns do take priority in this, but but articular nominative noun is second to something else. Something else takes priority over that. What is that?
It's the pronoun. And
Pronouns.
particularly, it's
Oh,
saying,
yeah.
and I have seen and have borne witness that this, what is this? It's talking about previously. It kind of gives you a clue too, right? The previous context tells you what it's talking about. So
Yeah.
this,
This is a pronoun, demonstrative.
yeah.
Specific.
Yeah,
So that's kind of like the subject of it. This thing that we've been talking about is
right. The Son of God. So it's referring that the referent
yeah,
going back, talking about Jesus. Okay. This what you're talking about is, let's be clear, the Son of God. The pronouns take first priority in a predicate nominative situation. The second one, like you brought up, Kimberly, would be articular nouns. Okay. But you have both here. So you have both an a pronoun and an articular noun. Articular noun is second. Okay. So what does this mean for our let's see if we can do this here. How would we diagram this? How would we diagram this? You guys tell me. I'm going to help you with Cargo, okay? But you tell me how we're going to diagram verse 34. Cargo, we're gonna split, okay? Chi and ego. You can do it the way I did it, okay? Oh, oops, sorry. I guess we can do that, but it's kind of like this. I can do that or a straight one. I'll go. And then I put ego in brackets. And then off to the side where I do explanations off the side. This first one would be labeled A, and over here I have A for explanations. I say this is chi and ego, and I put ego down here, and in bracket indicating and talk about why. But the chi needs to be there because it's actually a coordinated conjunction. So I kind of prioritize like that. Others might switch. Others might just go chi and then ego there, but that's how I do it because I want to try and keep it together. So now, tell me about, that's what we're going to do with Cargo, okay? And I'll put ego in brackets here in a minute. So walk me through the rest of this this diagram. Who wants to take a shot here on the diagram? I'll make sure I'm not bored. So
You can do the Chicago or Kai ego, however you like. I suppose would be a good first name.
we have Cargo. Yeah. Now what?
all the subject line.
Well, the line just for the one word, which would be ego.
Okay.
In bracket.
You want? So you want me to do this?
Because we're going to want you to branch off in the triangle kind of shape for the and.
Why?
Because we have two verbs, have
Oh.
seen, have one.
That's right, and they are connected with a tie. Oh, very good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do this to indicate subject goes here and verbs coming after it, and it goes after this line. So here and now we're gonna do something like that. And you said put the chi here. All right, good. So now we have two verbs that are connected by a chi, they're of equal value. So that's how you do it. And we can do this. Why can we do this for both verbs? What does this do? How does ego serve for both verbs? What is it serving as?
subject equally of both verbs.
And how do you know that it's possible?
They're both the same. The same tense and person and number.
And
No,
and-
Tense doesn't matter.
They're just person and number.
Person and number is what matters. First person singular, right? First person singular. They can be different tenses. I said this and went to the store, right? So said is past, went to the store is different, or will go to the store. I said this and then we'll go to the store. So, the tense doesn't matter. What matters is the person and the number that they match. You could have two verbs that are connected by chi. One is first person singular, one's third person plural. They don't share the same subject, but you would still do this if they have a chi in between them. What you do then is this. And then you have an I, and it's third person, it's a they in the Greek, of course. Then you have the verb, and here's the chi serving to bring them together because something's happening in the text with those two things. That's how you would work on that. Splitting them that way. Does that make sense? If you have two verbs, one is first person singular, the other one is third person plural, or at least these are different. Could be second person singular, second person plural, could be third person singular, first person plural, if they're different. And so they have different subjects. You have to split them, and if they have different subject, they have a different subject line for each of them. Okay. And this helps keep things accurate, like, hey, I split it, so they have two different subjects. This is a really quick way of looking at it, going, they share the same subject. At least I put them down as the same subject. Let me check my verbs and make sure they match in a person. And that's supposed to be. And I've done that before, where I've done it like this, and I come to find out that's third person plural, or a third person singular, and that was first person singular. I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Scrub that and go back and work it out. It's easy to make that mistake. So good. So this is not the case. Here is not the case. What is the case? Right here. The cargo. We have a chi in there with two verbs. And those verbs, peroka. Is it?
It's a hard read.
I think it's that, right? And was the other one tested? Okay. Memar. Oh yeah, yeah. Mara. Yeah. Okay. Let me see if I can-
I feel like you can come closer.
Memar. Oh, Memar 2. Memar 2. Is it Turcotte?
Reka.
Sure.
Two Reka.
Reka. There's an A in there. Okay. Reka. All right. Now, I have seen and I have testified, right? Testified. Content. Discourse. What he said or thought. So, what mood is this one again?
That one is
What mood are both of these verbs?
they're
Perfect indicative.
perfect, active, indicative.
Indicative mood. So, content of what's said. You start out a new one. Now, it's a hottie, right? Because it's indicative. What did he say? He said this. He said, Oops. Slant. That tells us it's a predicate nominative structure. So this is going to be nominative case, and what you're going to be have here is nominative case. Son, which is quios.
Upsilon.
Is it upsilon? We. Yeah, right. Did I do that one right? I didn't do that one right.
You got the wrong reading marker, but otherwise you.
That's the rough reading marker. Oh, no, it's not. Thank you. Quios. The son. 2000.
Yes.
Okay.
So how come it's branching off like that instead of doing like the right angle subordinate marker clause thing?
Because this is what he said, or claimed, or prayed. It's content.
So if it's
He's not just
that,
adding another, he's not adding a piece of information.
so it's not like a grammatical subordinate clause, it's like an explanation of the actual.
It's, yes, it's content. It's like, I said that, here it is. So this indicates discourse, direct or indirect. Direct discourse is a direct quote. He said, I'm going to the store, but he didn't. As opposed to, he said that he was going to the store, means he indicated he was going to the store, but I'm not directly quoting the person. So this means it's not a direct quote. It's an indirect summation. And whatever is said or implied to be said or prayed goes on a stilt, haughty or hinted if it's a subjunctive. And here's the content. And from here, you could have tons. Think of Jesus' high priestly prayer. John chapter 17. Just very briefly here. If you want, turn to John chapter 17, where Jesus' high priestly prayer. So these things spoke, right? Jesus spoke these things, and basically while lifting up his while lifting up his eyes into heaven, he said, okay, this is a quote, or it's presented as this is what he said. The rest of John chapter 17, all of it falls in that quote. And you'll notice that there's no henna or haughty clause. He didn't say that, hey, God, it's your time. He said, Father, this is what he said. The hour has come to glorify your son. And even as you've given him authority, this is what he said. It indicates a direct quote of Jesus. That's what he said. Now he said it in Aramaic, but he's translating to Greek, but it's a quote if it was said in Greek. Okay. So you would not have the hint or haughty clause. You would still have the stilt, and the entirety of the gospel of John chapter 17, the rest of it goes here, following down. Okay, because it is all part of the content of what he said. And the diagram bears that out. You can look at it and go, it's quote, there's no haughty or henna. But here, hey, look, we have a haughty clause. All right. Haughty. You have a haughty clause or a henna clause? Well, then it's an indirect quote. Clear as mud? Yes, sir.
seems like we could argue that because of the Kai and the two verbs,
Yes.
seen and born witness, could you then bring the line back together and then have your still going from that? Because
Great question.
he's like, I have seen that this is the Son of God, and I also have borne witness.
He is asking the following. Can we do this?
And then start it from there.
And then have your hottie, have your go here and here. Yes, and I believe I have. I think I diagrammed it that way in my diagram. Yes, you can. You're absolutely right, because he saw that he is the Son of God, and he's testifying to it. And that diagramming would be, I think, superior. So that's good because it's emphasizing both. He's not just saying that that this is the Son of God. He saw that he's, and how did he see that he was the Son of God? He saw something. What did John the Baptist see?
The Spirit, yeah.
The Holy Spirit descending like a dove. It's like on this one.
I thought because you had it up on the bottom one, it was kind of saying like this encompasses both.
I think this makes it clear so we don't miss it. So yeah. You absolutely you can do that. And I can even look it up. I think I did that on my diagram. I just wasn't going to do it because I didn't want to overload anything here. Let me see here. 134. Yep. And that's exactly what I did on my diagram. There it is. So you're right. Yeah. I'll show you guys here online too. What we're talking about, just so that we're clear. There we are. Okay. So we have it coming down. Here's the line which separates the either direct object or in this case, it separates the speech from the verb. And the speech is indirect discourse. This is the Son. Which Son? Of God. He's not saying this is the God of the Son. He's not saying that. He's saying this is the Son. And he specifies here, the two theou specifies which son he's talking about. Not the son of the Pharaoh, not the son of this, not the son of that, not the son of Herod, the Son of God. And I talked about before about how I would over here, I would explain the cargo, and how I do it is I put off to the side a place for explanations like that. It's chi and ego combined, and ego is put down here, right here, for clarity purposes. So there it is. But I kept it together up here.
So
Here's a slide. Yes.
quick question about the hati. So like on the board, you wrote it on the left-hand side of the stilt, but in here you put it on the right side. Does it matter which side it is on or no?
Correct. Yeah, correct. It doesn't matter. I put it here
Okay.
because when I go here, it's a little crowded, and the E, which relates to over here, the E, you can see it a little, I can see it a little clearer. That's all. So it does
Okay.
not, in for this case, because so many specifics matter in diagramming, it's a fair question, but I can go on either one. So
what are the stilts showing us?
the stilt is showing direct or indirect discourse.
Only when we see stilts, that's kind of like.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, sorry.
No, the stilt plus the haughty indicates indirect discourse. If this wasn't here, the stilt would show direct discourse. But you're going to find that you use stilts like this for participles, which we haven't had yet. For participles that are serving as a subject or as a substantive, as a noun, could be a subject, a direct object, or something like that. They will go. Participles will also go in stilts. So you need to see what's being used afterwards. I've tried to make it easier because when I put participles in here, Participles are purple in my diagrams. So that way, when I look at a diagram, I know immediately it's a participle, or it should be a participle, unless I colored it wrong. I can also look at my diagram, and just as a helpful here, in indicative mood, I make red. Okay. Non-indicative, that means subjunctive, optative, or imperative are green. So I can go up here, and right here, I immediately I see a green verb. There's the S, subjunctive mood. Okay. And over here, look at that. We have something blue, that's infinitives. We haven't had those yet. And this is this indicates infinitives right here. You see that, those double line? That indicates an infinitive. And here's purple. Right there is purple. It's not in a stilt because it's not being used as a substantive. It's being used adverbally. So this is purple. That's a participle. So there's different things. Here we go. Green. Look at that. Oh, what is it? Subjunctive mood. It could be optative or it could be imperative. I have to look and make sure. But green immediately tells me the mood. And here's the mood for this one, indicative moods. So here's another Kago, by the way. That's how John writes that way. He presents it. And notice in verse 31, this is interesting. In verse 31, he has a Kago. I should probably put it up here to get the Chi up there and ego down here. But notice contrast, but and he drops in ego again, even though it's first person singular and referring to the same one. So that's very interesting. So here we go. What does this indicate? Right here, what does that indicate? What does that tell you immediately that this is? Relative pronoun. And there's the antecedent relative pronoun. What do these lines here tell you immediately?
Another pronoun.
Relative pronoun that's pointing back to its antecedent. Right? There we go. Relative pronouns. And notice that these relative pronouns have their own what? Their own separate, they're quasi-independent. And what connects this, I said, Father, have something you me from you to me. What connects this to this first one? This is he, the one I said. Father, have show me. Show me. What connects them is the relative pronoun that connects this sentence to this one. Oops. Is the relative pronoun. That's the connection right there. And what's the connection for this sentence? The one above is the relative pronoun. So that's the connection. As soon as you see a relative pronoun, you should be thinking, I got myself a quasi-independent clause here in that relative pronoun, which could be the subject like it is here, or it could be, look at genitive case, and it's serving as the object of the preposition. Object of the preposition, it still is the connection to its antecedent to the previous sentence or wherever it points. It's still the connection. Relative pronoun. Okay. So yeah. So we have some other things going on here. But you're getting there. I could certainly talk to you guys about a whole lot more than I have before.
Can I ask another question going back to our verse 34?
Yes, let me say this first. Notice this one has a haughty clause, and it has down here this subordinate clause, but this is not a verb of saying, speaking, or anything like that. So the haughty clause indicates a subordinate clause, indicative mood subordinate clause, subordinate to this. This is the main clause, and here's a subordinate clause. Okay. All right. Okay, yes. So you want to go back to 34?
Yeah, this is more like a hypothetical, but going back to our discussion about why Protos is the subject of this clause.
Yeah,
And not
not of the clause, of Eston.
of S,
It's not the subject of the other verbs.
right,
Okay, go
or
ahead.
this haughty clause.
Yes, that's right, yes.
Let's just say that John wanted to say, I have seen and have borne witness that the Son of God is this.
Okay.
Would it just be a matter of switching the order of the words around, or would stuff
He
change?
would have to use, he couldn't write it like this. He'd have to write it differently.
He would.
Right. Now, he might say, oh, no, it's still, this is the Son of God. He might have to say, well, Jesus. Okay, Jesus. Jesus is the Son of God. Because the uh, personal name would, I think, takes priority over the articular noun.
So if we wanted to say the Son of God is Jesus.
Oh,
would not be able to
He
do
would, no, he would still be saying Jesus is the Son of God.
Wouldn't it
Son-
just be like haughty, huios to they who Eston?
Maybe here, the Son of God is here.
Oh, he wouldn't even, he would use different words altogether.
Yes,
Oh.
yeah, you can't switch these around. Okay. This is what, yeah.
That's what I wanted to know. That was helpful.
Oh, these can't, yeah, you have, the words that have to change. Yeah. So because of the rule, namely that preposition, demonstrative pronouns take priority, because of that rule in Greek, it would have to be written differently. That pronoun could not be there. Yeah. So good. I like the hypotheticals. It's helpful. It's lines of demarcation. So let's look at well, first of all, let's consider as well the have seen and have testified. So those are perfect tenses. Have seen, he's emphasizing it's happened and his results are continuing. And have testified. It's not that he's not focusing on the fact that he's testifying about it now, but he's focusing on that he's testified and the testimony continues till now, based on his have seen. They're kind of brought together, as a unit that work together. So it's a completed past action with the state continuing on. And the state of his testimony continues on. That's what the perfect tense brings out. Let's do a pluperfect, all right? Let's do a pluperfect here. I had multiple perfect tenses, but that was great. This is good. I think you're gonna like this one. Galatians 4:3. Is that on your screen, you guys? This here, is that on your screen? Okay, I was able to keep that up there, sharing that. Now, Galatians 4:3. So it's an adverb. So also, Kai is not just and, it's also. We, now notice this hete is an adverbial conjunction. 1 second. It brings in a concept here. While we were children, okay, this is a different word for children. You haven't had that one.
What?
And yeah, I know. That's really, yeah, but it's an adjective, which means almost, well, I don't know if it could be childish, but it's giving the attribute of being children. So even as adults, they could have this attribute. Um, under the elementary things of this world. Now this is going to blow you away, all right? But we have perfect tense, perfect. Oh wait. Oh no. That's not what I thought it was. No, we can't do that. That's going to be too confusing. Oh man, I thought that was the double. All right, so scratch that. We're not doing Galatians 4:3. That's advanced. That's more advanced where you that, that's a periphrastic participle. Does that help?
Wow.
Yeah, we thought pluperfect was bad.
Fancy.
Woo, got fancy pants going on here. Hey, look at that. All right, Matthew 9:36. Ignore the purple participles, but we're just focusing on aorist passive, and this is imperfect. Why is this imperfect? These are supposed to be pluperfects. I'm supposed to have pluperfects down here. John 9:22. All right, what happened here? Okay. Imperfect. Pluperfect, thank you. All right, pluperfect right there. So his parents said this because they were afraid of the Jews. For the Jews, for already, here's already for. Remember, gar is what? What is gar?
Therefore.
If for. And what kind of word is it? What is unique about it?
It's a.
What is that fancy phrase? Pluperfect? No.
No, it was the post positive.
Post positive. Yes. What does post positive mean?
It means it can't come at the front.
It can't up front of the clause. Exactly right. So it's second. So you see it. It's like here we go. For already. So we say for already. Already for already. Here we are. The Jews, notice this is pluperfect middle. This is third person plural. So here that's why this is a plural. The Jews had already agreed that if anyone confessed him to be Christ, he was to be put out of the synagogue. Notice this agreement. The agreement was done in the past, and this has already happened. So it's pluperfect. So it continued up at some point in the past to affect change then, specifically to put people out. Now it was no longer in effect when John wrote. So it's in a pluperfect state. But this is what happened back then, that if someone had confessed something, the Jews had agreed. They made an agreement and it was into effect, at least for a while, of putting people out of the synagogue, which is a great public shame. Okay, great shame. It's like being called out on social media, right? It's there. Yeah, I know. Okay, yeah, that makes it more. I know, it makes it more impactful. No. So anyway, that's what it was. That's the pluperfect.
So yeah. Is there anything about this word that helps us figure out that it's suneteto?
No, very good. Theta. That's right. What about the word?
Is it?
It
Is there the what's it called? The I don't see reduplication going on.
As far as the form goes, well, it's from Suntithemi, and I think the reduplication was, well, pluperfect doesn't always have it. Remember? Oh wait. Well, no, it's Tithemi.
I'm not seeing
it.
ontos.
I'm not seeing it. It was dropped out, and maybe because of the theta, maybe it was dropped out, or maybe, but it's Tithemi. It's soon to them, but it's I'm not seeing it. If it's there, I don't see it.
So it's just one of those you're gonna have to look up.
Look it up. Yeah, you look it up. So But good question about the form. Okay.
Dr. Crocker, could it be the same thing that happens with the perfect on page 161? They described if it's an aspirant, then it like only reduplicates the stop part of it, so the theta would just reduplicate the t, or is that only for perfect?
Hold on. I am not hearing you very well. I'm trying to turn
Oh,
this up.
you moved your
My bad, I
microphone.
moved my mic because I
Oh,
was eating my
okay.
soup.
Oh, okay. Is
Sorry.
it good? Is it a good soup?
It was delicious. Yeah, my
That's why
husband
she
had to
was-
finish it for me because I was in class.
It's an alpha
But it was really good. He did good.
I think it's turkey soup. I think she said it was
It was
turkey soup.
turkey soup. It was so
That's
yummy.
soup? Oh, man. But go ahead. Yes.
It's dinner time out here. Okay, I wondered if it might be the same as on page 161. It's the perfect, not the pluperfect, but I wondered if it might be the same because in the perfect it talked about an aspirant getting kind of split, the stop sound getting separated out, and that's the part that reduplicates.
With
So
the
for a theta, it would be the tau.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, but if you look, um, the problem, and maybe you're right, but the problem is, it comes from soon tithemy, and so it has a tau in there.
Oh.
Yes.
My notes here are saying that it's a joining of soon and tithemy, meaning that it's it's like one of those
Conjunct compound. It's a
compound
compound verb. Right. So it comes
so
from
it would modify after the soon then, right?
correct.
So,
But it'd be soon tithemy, so that the tau is still there.
right.
Okay. And notice the tau is here with an epsilon preceding it, which I'm taking as an augment. And I'm just guessing that the reduplication part drops out because it's pluperfect. And so I don't, like I said, I do not know. But there are Greek scholars that trace the etymology of words back to, the first speakers, and they trace it through the history of the various ancient Greek languages. By the way, ancient Greek languages covers about 5 different dialects of Greek. It's not just one. So ancient Greek is a general term. Anyway, so in New Testament Greek, Koine Greek borrows from several of them, especially Ionic Greek and Attic Greek. Attic Greek, I think the most, which is the Greek the philosophers spoke and was the most developed precise wise. Ionic and Attic Greek, but then there was a couple others that show influence. So that's what scholars do. So I'd have to read someone who did a search on that and to find out why the form is what it is. So I don't know. So, but it's a fair question. It's a fair question. All right, so let's see if we can do one more here. We're gonna look at one more. See if I actually got it right. I don't know what happened to the other ones. Mark 15, 7. Yes, okay. And we have the reduplication in there. So from point, so we have reduplication, folks. Now here,
15:7.
Mark chapter 15, verse 7. And we have imperfect, and which is used in John 1:1. And notice, what do you notice about you guys can't see it, but you online can see it. What do you notice about the NASB translation compared to just really the first line of the Greek? The Greek line starts here. This is verse 7 right here. Okay. What do you know difference? What do you notice maybe?
Taxon
What's that?
in the NASB, it tacks on and.
It tacks on and? What does it tack on and at? Oh, yours is, am I in the ASP? I am, I'm in the
Or you-
95.
95, okay, the 95 doesn't.
Yes, I'm in the 95. So, but notice the older one, and what's immediately the difference there?
Yeah, the one name where I was in man.
Yeah, the DE. Notice the DE is not translated in this one here. It's aim DE. He who is named Barabbas, or the one who is named Barabbas. That's a participle. It's purple. Has an article before it. So that's how we know that it's being used as a substantive. A substantive is a fancy word for a noun. So you'll be learning more about that. So right there, they left it off. They dropped it. This happened. This is actually quite common.
What is it now? I'm not tracking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The
The
dead.
DE right here.
What
It's
is
not translated in verse 7 in the ASB. 95.
man
Would the
made?
day there be one of the post positive things? So we would
Yes,
put it like
it's post positive.
then there was the one called.
Yes,
Oh, I see.
it says was and, but we say and or but.
Yeah.
Could be but. And usually that is brought in to indicate, let's see if this is true real quick, to indicate the change of subject. And so, yeah, and so here the man, wait, and 6. But Jews made no further answer, so now the feast has been held to release for them one prisoner of whom they requested. Now, the subject is not named in verse 6, so they're changing the subject to something specific, and debt is used, which is often indicative of the change of a subject from one verse to another.
Because it would have been, he was talking about pilot before.
Right. He used to release, yeah, whom they requested. And he and they were, he refers to Pilate, they requested refers to someone else. And now debt is going to be, yeah, indicates change of the subject. And so now we have who had committed murder in the insurrection. So this is a past action and emphasizing the state of affairs back then, having committed murder. It doesn't mean the result, it doesn't mean the results don't continue. It's just focusing on, hey, back then, even then they knew it, because people who commit murder, the murders fall out of memory or whatever, but they knew it back then. So, and it was a big deal back then when he was in prison. And then released. All right. Well, I have another class I have to get to here in 1 minute. Any closing questions here on perfect or pluperfect tenses? Our last 2 tenses. That's now 6 tenses of the Greek. Okay. And perfect and pluperfect have reduplication. Usually they have an augment. Usually. There's a few weird things. Sometimes they don't happen that way, but usually there's not a lot of these terms in the New Testament. So when they do happen, it's often striking. Like, oh, something's being brought out here. They didn't use aorist. They didn't use imperfect. They used perfect or pluperfect. So, all right.
I think I might have found the answer to the John 9:22 pluperfect.
Oh, what's that?
So for the compound verb reduplication, it's Merkel says that for verbs that begin with a prepositional prefix, reduplication occurs after the preposition, directly in front of the stem. So like when we got that, because the suit,
Soon to, yeah.
yeah, because it's a compound verb,
Right.
it's picking up the uh, it's doing the reduplication after the uh,
Right. It would be after the preposition. But
yeah,
the question is, where was the reduplication? Because something dropped out. Because it assumed tithemi, but there was only one tau. Reduplication, there would seem to be 2 taus. So did the first tau from tithemi drop out and they put in reduplication because of the theta? That's very possible. Or do they just not do reduplication? So maybe the first tau is the reduplication and they dropped out the original tau, which was part of the stem. Because there's only one tau before the theta. And there should be two if it's pure reduplication. It's an interesting question. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. I do need to go. Brian, thank you very much for that. And we will go from there and see you next week. If you have any questions, please email. Lord, thanks for everyone and bless them and take care of them and their families. Pray in Jesus' name, amen. All right. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Yep.